Hey, I am Michael Santos with Prison Professors, and I'm going to continue reading from this article that I started reading yesterday, Making Progress in Federal Prison by Preparing. Now, there's a link in the show notes below to yesterday's reading of the article, and I will also include the reading for the next version of the article, because it's a rather long article. What we do at Prison Professors is offer this information to justice-impacted people so they will know how to prepare for the journey inside. I was in prison for 26 years, and every member of our team has been in prison, but we know that a lot of people who are going into the system really want access to information that can help them get the best possible outcome. And they may not have financial resources to hire an attorney that has mitigation experts on staff or hire their own mitigation experts. So what we offer here at Prison Professors is free information for anybody that wants to get to it. So I'm scrolling down to the section where I finished reading yesterday on this article. If you haven't visited our website, you can see that there are 3 different buckets of content for people that are before they've been sentenced, for people after they have been sentenced, and then also work on self-advocacy products. But I think I've passed it. I think I was on this section that talks about the first day in prison. And let me see if I could find it. Adjusting to federal prison. I'm there. I know I had that. I recorded about 20 minutes yesterday. No, I've read this. But when I do these readings, I also offer additional content with hopes of helping people. Additional content that I learned by going through the system for so long. Because I really believe that every decision a person makes along the way has an influence on what they experience at later times during the journey. So I want people to learn as much as they possibly can, and I want people to build pathways that will lead to success. On our subject matter expert section, we interview leaders like the director of the Bureau of Prisons, the head of the U.S. Probation, federal judges, all kinds of information to help as many people as possible. And I just want to make sure that I'm giving you what you need. Oh yes, I did read all of this yesterday. So I'm scrolling through this. If you're listening to this on iTunes, you don't know what I'm doing because you can't see the screen, but I'm scrolling through these areas here to get to where I am right here, which is starting the day in federal prison. That's what I want to read from today. If you want the other backstory, look on the links below or just visit the website, and on the page itself, it will have all the videos present. So let's go. And the reason that I do it in video, just so you know, is one of the things that Prison Professors we do is we try and help people who are serving sentences understand what's coming. There are many people in jails that are on their way to prison, and this information is for those people as well. The more you learn and the more you understand about the system, the better off you are going to be in navigating your way to a successful outcome. So let's start with starting a day in federal prison. After taking care of personal hygiene, a person should clean the area around his bed because staff members will be finicky about tidiness in the housing unit. Each person has a responsibility for keeping the bed made during the day and keeping all personal belongings inside of the locker. Before leaving the housing unit, the person should look around his assigned area. If a person makes his bed without wrinkles, keeps personal property inside the locker, and sweeps the area, he can proceed through the day without worries about what staff members are going to reprimand him because of untidiness, or worse yet, that sometimes they'll issue a disciplinary sanction. Now, other areas of the site, I talk extensively about disciplinary sanctions, but you really want to avoid all of them, but especially the petty disciplinary sanctions, because those petty disciplinary sanctions add up and they can influence a custody and classification score. They can influence when a person comes home. They can influence a person's access to privileges such as phone time or visiting or access to a halfway house. It's just a whole parade of horribles can follow from disciplinary infractions, and the more you know about it, the more you can position yourself to avoid them. So we turn into the call-out sheet in federal prison, something a little unusual for anybody who's never been in the system before. So here's what we wrote. As a person walks toward the outside of the unit, he will see a call-out sheet. People may think of the call-out sheet as an appointment book. Staff members will schedule people to participate in specific activities every day. In the first days and weeks, the person will see his name on the call-out sheet frequently, as staff members will fill his day with appointments. He may have to see personnel from the health services department, from education, from psychology, and from other areas. Each person must train himself to check the call-out sheet on a daily basis. If a staff member uses the call-out sheet to schedule a person for an appointment, the person has a responsibility to attend that appointment. People who fail to show up for the call-out appointment expose themselves to disciplinary infractions for being out of bounds. Punishments for such a disciplinary infraction may include loss of phone privileges, loss of commissary privileges, loss of visiting privileges, and extra work details. They can also make you go live in some less desirable housing section of the unit. So it's really important to understand these things because they can have collateral consequences that you didn't anticipate. And remember that staff members in prison aren't always there to help. Sometimes I can remember many times in prison where for missing a call out, which could be an honest mistake, they want to write a disciplinary infraction, and that can have problems like I just read. So learn about that call-out sheet and make sure that you make it a part of your day, just like brushing your teeth. You got to look at it and then find some kind of way, some kind of reminder that'll help you stay current with it so you don't miss those. So let's talk about meals in federal prison. After a person checks the call-out in the morning, he may leave the housing unit for the chow hall. Food in prison is basic. Those who've experienced the military will recognize the institutional food, and those who have not served in the military may have a better understanding of food in federal prison if they recall meals that were served in a typical American high school. The Federal Bureau of Prisons serves meals in the following approximate rotations. Monday through Friday, they serve breakfast between 6 and 7 a.m. Lunch, generally after the morning census count, which is usually from like 11 o'clock until around noon. Dinner, they serve it starting after the 4 p.m. census count, usually between 4:30 and 5:30. Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays, they have meals at breakfast from 6 to 7, brunch, generally after the morning count, usually 11 to noon, and dinner 4:30 to 5:30. So the meals, however, are really bland and strikingly similar in all institutions. Now, the people can expect a rotation of the following meals depending on the day of the week. Breakfast, generally, there's going to be, typically eggs, potatoes, cereals, pastries, fruit, pancakes. Not all at once, but it's going to be some combination of that, with eggs being kind of a special day. Hot meals being kind of a special day. Most days are going to be kind of bland, like cereal. And on weekends, they may have some pastries. They may not. I mean, really, when I was in prison, it really changed. Let me continue here and I'll talk about that. Lunch is hamburgers, spaghetti, rice and beans, chicken patties, chicken, pizza, mystery meats, those kinds of things. Dinner, again, is going to be roast beef, potatoes, rice, beans, macaroni and cheese, chili, fish, casserole dishes. Now, I will say that prisons have really changed. When I went to prison in 1987, the prison system held fewer than 35,000 people. So it was much smaller, and the meals were significantly better and more robust menus than existed 20 years later when I was in my 20th year. Why is that? Well, the prison system has exploded. And Congress is given money, but administrators have the authority on what they're going to spend that money on. And there has been less of an emphasis on spending money for the people inside. So if a person understands that prisons have, that you get what you might expect from prison food, a person might come up with some kind of a strategy to respond. I never went to the chow hall by the time I was in my, I would say, 15th year, I think it was. Maybe less, maybe my 12th year. I think it was my 12th year. I just refused to go to the chow hall for significantly long periods of time because I saw a lot of volatility in the prison, and I could get everything I needed either through the commissary or through my contacts with people who worked in the kitchen. And you can learn about that wherever you are in a prison. But let's continue reading here and see what we say. People should expect to wait in long lines for each meal, as most people in the camp eat in the chow hall. Those who have financial resources may choose to avoid the indignity of the chow hall by purchasing food from the commissary and preparing their own meals. And again, the reason that a person wants to do that is not only the selection is so poor in the institutional meals, but it's very volatile. And the prison chow hall can expose people to cliquish behavior and racial and tribal type of behavior. And so if you want to avoid all of that, don't go. But the only way you have the ability to avoid it is if you have the financial resources available to buy your own food. And so I write extensively about how I did it, but I think every person has to make his or her own decision based on his or her own ability to access resources or create resources. Let's go to the admissions and orientation area. The A&O session will be the start of each new person's initial adjustment. Institutions will vary with regard to scheduling new people for A&O, depending on population levels. People should expect to attend A&O during the first days or weeks of their arrival. During A&O, all new people will sit in a conference-like setting. They will listen as a parade of staff members visit to describe the purpose of their departments. Each staff member will speak for between 10 and 30 minutes. Some will open the floor for questions. Some will show videos during their presentation. Newly arriving people should keep the following in mind. A person should not say anything during the A&O meeting that he would not want to spread around the institution. Although a new person may appreciate an opportunity to listen to staff members and learn how the institution operates, most of the people in the room will want to end the meeting as quickly as possible. They will not appreciate unnecessary questions. After especially specific questions that only apply to the individual. There's too many guys that go to prison and they want to talk about themselves and their own case and why they're different and why they're special. But that never works well in that environment. It's best to be a submarine. You hear me say that a lot on Prison Professors, is that, a submarine is somebody that stays beneath the radar and knows what's going on around them, but wants to be invisible in there. I was not invisible. I was very public in prison, but it's because of my work. For people that are new to the system, I would recommend that an individual gets experience before that person really tries to make his own case known and popular, right? I mean, in the great book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People that author Stephen Covey wrote, he said, seek first to understand before you seek to be understood. So understand that environment first before you want to make a case for your own, why you're special. After the A&O meeting, counselors will begin assigning job assignments to all new people. People should locate the work assignment that suits them best prior to A&O and do everything possible to secure the job that suits them best. Some people enter prison with a perspective that they should become resources for the administration. They believe it important to show the staff that they are different from the ordinary criminals who are in custody, and they want such recognition. But such an adjustment will bring scorn, ridicule, and possible danger from others who are serving time in the same prison. I remember a person convicted of a white-collar crime who repeatedly asked staff members during A&O how he could help. Other people who participated in the A&O session spread the news about the questions throughout the population. As a consequence, the person who wanted to help had a very difficult adjustment in the minimum security camp. Remember, you don't want to have that Stockholm syndrome where you're in there and you're so eager to identify with staff and say, I'm not like the other people here, right? What you're doing is staff are never going to accept you, okay? Their job depends on them not accepting you. They might try to cultivate you and turn you into some kind of an informant, or you might have some type of informal relationship where at least they're not as hard on you. But you do not want to develop this reputation as being, a jailhouse snitch or whatever. And I'm not making a judgment call. I'm just giving you this guidance as you go into this very unusual environment. It's fundamentally different from the world of business, where you're striving to be a person of influence. You're striving to be a subject matter expert. In there, think about the environment and think about how am I going to get through this so that I can get out at the soonest possible time. Never lose sight of the goal. And the goal is to get through this experience with your dignity intact and with opportunities to come home early. So what are the job details in federal prison? In federal prison, counselors will assign a job to all people who are capable of working. People serving sentences provide a significant portion of the labor that maintains the institution. A job that will appeal to one person may not interest another. Below, we provide a listing of some job assignments that people will find available in any prison. Food service. People serving time prepare all the meals. As such, a large number of people will work on the kitchen detail. People assigned to the kitchen detail may work as cooks, dishwashers, they maintain cleanliness, they may stock the napkins, they may work to store the food in the warehouse. There are orderlies. Most all departments in the prison will employ orderlies who bear responsibility for keeping an area clean. There are maintenance jobs where people work as electricians, plumbers, or on jobs that require some type of skilled labor. There's landscaping. Every prison, people work to keep the grounds clean. There's a factory in many prisons, primarily more secure prisons, but they operate these industrial factories under this brand called Unicor. Now, many people don't know, but Unicor is wholly owned by Federal Bureau of Prisons, and the factories manufacture all kinds of things that service the government, including mattresses, beds, furniture, military clothing, and other products that all government agencies want to purchase. People who work in Unicor ordinarily earn a wage that's higher than others, and frequently there's a waiting list to get a Unicor job. Then there's the commissary. A few people will be assigned to work in the commissary. Those positions require people to maintain the store and perform stocking services. That's also generally a higher paying job. Education, people are assigned to work as tutors, will teach others who prepare for high school equivalency exams. There's the clerical function, where most all departments that do not involve sensitive information are going to employ people as clerks, and those who have typing and clerical skills may appreciate the solitude of such jobs. So people surrendering to prison should understand that two factors have a significant influence on prison adjustments. At least that's in my view. And those two factors include bunk assignments and job assignments. So initially, a person's influence over those decisions may seem minimal. After surrendering to prison, an officer will assign the person a bunk in accordance with what is available. But over the weeks to come, people will be released and there will be new bunk assignments that open. And in time, a person should be able to maneuver his way into a bunk assignment that is more appropriate for his peace of mind. But again, that's going to be contingent on the person having a clean disciplinary record. So that disciplinary record really has a lot of ancillary reasons that you want to be thinking about it. And with regard to job assignments, a person may succeed in maneuvering his way into the right job from the start, because there's always going to be a few weeks to pass before the A&O procedures begin. And the person will have some time to make inquiries from others in the institution about the different jobs, the best jobs. And the best jobs are going to be different from one person to another. But you're going to have to get that information when you're in the prison and you start finding some kind of mentors or friends that have some institutional knowledge of that place. But within a few days of surrendering, a person who asks the right questions will find out everything he needs to know about the different jobs available. Since staff will not assign a person to a job detail until after he completes A&O, each person will have time to perform his due diligence and learn which job would work best for him. Once he learns the right job, he can coordinate steps to secure the position. It's not always possible to secure the best job at first, but a person should try. A person who doesn't find his own job will see that a counselor will assign him a job that might not be such a good fit. And remember, jobs are super important. Once a counselor assigns a job, the counselor may decline to make a job change for between 4 and 6 months. Now, the pay scale is really not going to be an issue. Most jobs in federal prison begin with an average pay of $15 a month or less. And in time, the earnings on a limited number of jobs may reach a maximum of about $150 a month. But obtaining answers to the following questions concerning jobs will be more important than pay scale, because it's insignificant, right? Pay is insignificant, even if you're working overtime on a factory, right? And you can't get that position until you've been in prison for many years. But if you're working overtime in a factory job, you might make more than $600 or $700 a month. But you won't get that job for many years. So that's not what you need to know now. Whatever job you're going to get now, you're going to start in the $15 to maybe $50 or $60 a month. And that's really trivial, right? It just doesn't matter. What you do need to know are what hours does the job require? What are the requirements of the job? Does the supervisor on the job, is he a cool dude or is he, really tough on people? Tell me about the people with whom I'd have to interact on the job. Does the job offer any opportunities to work on my own projects of interest? Does the job present any vulnerability for disciplinary infractions? Do I have to wear steel-toe boots on the job? How busy is the job going to keep me? What kind of dirty work does the job require? What would you say are the worst parts of the job? Will the supervisor object if I read or write when I've completed my assigned duties on the job? See, those are good questions. If you can get the answers to those questions, you're going to find what works best for you. And different jobs will appeal to different people. The job preferences may also change as a person grows through the journey of confinement. In the beginning, many people prefer jobs that will keep them busy. But the activity may take the individual's mind off the pains of confinement, but it also may block the person from making progress. So really understand the balance of what's successful in your life. So here's, on the other hand, the flip side, people who have a set of clear goals and pathways to achieve those goals may want to lobby for a job that offers as much free time as possible. Others will search for a job that offers peace of mind and a semblance of solitude in an office, say, for example. But once the individual finds the job that suits him best, he may ask for an introduction to the supervisor. As the supervisor signs the person's cop-out, which is this request to staff members, and he authorizes, I want to approve this guy for a job, the person can hand the signed cop-out to the counselor before the end of the A&O session. And if the new person follows that process, he stands a better than average chance of securing the job that he wants. It's not guaranteed, but we encourage people to read through all of our content at Prison Professors to learn more about how to prepare for a successful journey through prison. Now, the next section I'm going to save for tomorrow's video because it's going to be on the same page of Prison Professors, but if you're listening on iTunes, it won't populate till tomorrow, or on the YouTube channel, it'll come out tomorrow, because I'm going to talk about the federal prison commissary and kind of give you some feedback on that. But I've already been speaking for 22 minutes, and I don't want to take so much time that you can see my hair. It was pretty early in the morning when I filmed this thing, but I wanted to I want to break these things up and no more than 20 to 30 minutes, because they're not super high production, my video skills, right? I'm just giving away information with hopes of helping people really understand the journey ahead. And I really feel passionately about that. When I was going through 9,500 days in prison, it was always this goal of mine to be the change I want to see in the world. And that change requires us to give information to as many people as possible. And I want to thank our sponsor at White Collar Advice, who provide us the resources that we need. And I'm one of the owners of White Collar Advice, but it's one of the ways that as an owner, I get the privilege to say, let's direct some of this resources to give content away for people who can't afford it. But of course, we have other sponsors as well. And I'm really committed to try and give away as much information as I possibly can to as many people as I possibly can. That's one of the ways that I believe I can improve outcomes for and have a bigger impact on society, and make sense of the 26 years that I served in prisons of every security level. We want people to emerge successfully, and we believe that the best way to do that is to prepare, and that's the purpose of this video, which is the second in the series on this particular article. But we have a lot of articles, and we publish new content every day, so we hope you'll subscribe to Prison Professors, whether you're getting it on iTunes, YouTube, through our website, or anywhere else. We want you to be a part of our community, and never ask you to do anything that I didn't do. And I'm wishing you success on your own journey. Thanks.